It looks like despite his big words yesterday as he traumatized his kids, Pete Hegseth may actually not be long for this administration. It looks like he might be packing up his flask and heading back to Fox and Friends, because according to NPR, the Trump administration behind the scenes is already looking for his replacement. They've begun the process of looking for a new leader at the Pentagon, according to a US official who is not authorized to speak publicly, or either wasn't authorized or was terrified of what would happen to him if he did. And so look, that doesn't prove that this is true. The fact that NPR has a source, we have to be fair. We don't want to be fake news. It doesn't prove it. You know what does prove it? Karoline Leavitt denied it. She tweeted, "This NPR story is total fake news based on one anonymous source who clearly has no idea what they're talking about." As the president said this morning, he stands strongly behind Secretary of Defense. When it was announced with two sources in the Atlantic, I think, that they were gonna do a 90-day pause on the tariffs, she came out and said, "This is fake news, he never." And a day later, they announced it. You can't trust her. If she is acknowledging it all, that to me is proof positive that this is happening. And by the way, conservative host Eric Erickson also confirmed it, saying NPR is correct. Just to be clear here, it's not the president, but those around him expect more shoes to drop that turn the president against Hegseth, and they're trying to get ready for it. Here's what I know. People in the White House are looking at possible Secretary of Defense replacements. Trump is not inclined to replace the Secretary of Defense. People in the White House believe more is coming on Hegseth that will turn Trump towards wanting a replacement, and they want to be ready for it. And more has been coming out about some of the specific classified, deeply classified information that he's revealed to, like, his lawyer and his wife and his brother and all that. So I'm not surprised that there's more shoes, to drop or whatever. We don't know what it is. We'll be surprised when it comes out. Pete Hegseth will probably be pretty surprised because he was probably plastered while he did most of this stuff. So this is gonna be a wild ride for him too. But in advance of that, here he is continuing to try to defend himself again on his formerly home turf.
We take the classification of information very important. It's very significant to us that we safeguard it. And so when we had leaks, which we have had here, we did a serious leak investigation. And through that leak investigation, unfortunately, we found some folks that we believe were not holding to the protocols that we hold dear here at the Defense Department. Through that investigation, they have been moved on, and that investigation continues. As a result of that, everything we do here is above board, trying to make sure that we safeguard information. In this point, those folks who were leaking, who have been pushed out of the building, are now attempting to leak and sabotage the president's agenda and what we're doing. And that's unfortunate.
There's a lot of people who don't want you there, and there's some type of deep state forces that want to make sure you don't stay there.
They've come after me from day one, just like they've come after President Trump. I mean, I've gotten a fraction of what President Trump got in that first term. What he's endured is superhuman.
Oh my God, and there's the strategy. Like, "Oh, Trump, you're super tough. Oh my God, you're a Titan. You're basically Thanos. You're Galactus. Oh, they've been so mean to you. Don't cast me off. I'll fluff you. I'll fluff you every day on Fox News. Please don't fire me." Yeah, whatever. The flailing and the gesticulations and all that seems like a Pete Hegseth that's either, maybe he's got like the post-drunk sweats or something, but I think he's a little bit nervous here. And I will remind him, because again, we cannot assume that he is aware of anything that's going on. He could be drunk right there. You're the leaker, you jackass. You leaked the information. That's what the scandal started as. When he says, "We take classified information very important," first of all, that's a wild sentence. But second of all, no, you don't. That's the whole problem. Anyway, Jackson, again, it's not a guarantee. Trump has not apparently turned against him, supposedly. But what do you make of where Pete Hegseth finds himself?
Well, I mean, first of all, if you are gonna be outed by the Trump administration, you really must have messed up, because they are not concerned with owning up to anything. And they don't, it's an agenda without a plan. These people are just running around doing stuff willy-nilly, sending the wrong people to El Salvador. And the incompetence is rampant. But I mean, my guess is if Pete Hegseth gets replaced, then it'll probably be with somebody who's kind of milquetoast in terms of their personality and stuff like that. Maybe like a Mike Johnson, who, they can still carry out an agenda, but not really cause a lot of controversy. Because even outside of like all the baggage that Pete Hegseth comes with, the domestic violence, sexual assault, him being an alcoholic, all this stuff, unqualified, the list goes on. Um, the way he handles situations just shows that he is not the person for any type of serious position. Oh, they've just been coming after me since day one. Like, why? Why are you a threat to the establishment or something? Just like the idea that Donald Trump is unfairly singled out. Like, why? Because he's such a man of the people, because he's trying to dismantle the powers that be. It's ridiculous. These people are just playing the victim, and they're really bad at it. And Pete Hegseth got himself into a situation where our national security was compromised, and people ain't feeling it. This is a big deal. This isn't like a interpersonal situation. This is a national security issue.
Well, and I'm glad that you bring that up, because I want to turn to some of the people that aren't feeling it are the ones that actually might matter. Like you and I thinking he's unqualified. Well, that's just us and the vast majority of thinking people, but we don't have any say. Let's turn now to the people who might actually have a say. Some Republicans are now conceding that Pete Hegseth has a problem or many problems. And we even have a Republican calling for him to be ousted, which could just be one or two reasonable Republicans, or it could be the beginning of a turn for Pete Hegseth. So let's talk about Representative Don Bacon, first House Republican to suggest that he is no longer fit to keep his job, which is almost the truth. It's not that he's no longer fit to hold the job. He was never fit to hold the job, but Don Bacon, I'll take it. He said, I had concerns from the get-go because Pete Hegseth didn't have a lot of experience. I like him on Fox, but does he have the experience to lead one of the largest organizations in the world? That's a concern. No, obviously he did not. He's not a serious person. You listen to him speak for a minute. He's not a person you'd want to be in charge of pretty much anything. He's a jackass. That's all he is. And no amount of just saying the word war fighter over and over is going to cancel out the fact that you're a chucklehead, you're a clown, you're not a serious person. I know you were once in the military or whatever. That doesn't make you tough. It doesn't make you a general. You're the schmuck on the couch at Fox and Friends, Pete Hegseth, and everybody knows it. But anyway, Don Bacon said that while he didn't feel like it was his place to call on Hegseth to resign, he wouldn't stand for Hegseth's mismanagement were he the occupant of the Oval Office. So basically saying Trump should be pressing for him to step down, and says if it's true that he had another signal chat with his family, which he apparently did, about the missions against the Houthis, which he apparently did, it's totally unacceptable. I'm not in the White House, and I'm not going to tell the White House how to manage this, but I find it unacceptable, and I wouldn't tolerate it if I was in charge. And finally, he says Russia and China put up thousands of people to monitor all these phone calls at the very top, and the number one target besides the president would be the Secretary of Defense. Russia and China are all over his phone, and for him to be putting secret stuff on his phone is not right. He's acting like he's above the law, and that shows an amateur person. And so he's been the toughest critic. We have one more who's not quite as tough, but he's beginning to dip his toe in the water of acknowledging that Pete Hegseth is a mess. This is Representative Carlos Jimenez, another Republican.
Well, the question is this chat prior to the one that was leaked out, or did he continue to use the Signal chat group after that happened? And so I'm not sure the timing of it was. If it was something that he did prior to, okay, he should have learned his lesson now with what happened with the Mike Waltz incident. But if he did it afterwards, yeah, I would have concerns because it's already been burned by it once. I don't think you need to get burned by it twice. I think you should learn from your mistakes. If in fact he did discuss what's called top secret or things that only need to be discussed inside a skiff with his wife, if she doesn't have that kind of security briefing, yes, it would concern me.
Yeah, I think it should concern all. What does his family have to do with any of this? What does his brother have to do with any of his personal lawyer? What the hell place does he have? And not just it's you're not supposed to give him this information. Why would you? Why would you have flight times for F-18s and be like, I gotta send this to my personal lawyer? That's super weird, super suspicious. And if we have this second chat, who thinks that's the only two? It was just these two. He didn't tell anybody else. He didn't tell him in a phone call. He didn't brag about it or whatever over whiskey or something. Who the hell thinks that at this point? So it's good to see two Republicans willing to acknowledge reality. Jackson, any other thoughts?
Yeah, we got to get Andrew Tate up in there. That's what we got to do. We got to replace Pete Hegseth with Andrew Tate.
Oh my God.
We might as
Don't
well
even put it out there.
We might as well at this point. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's a total disaster. Everybody can see it, and one of the most concerning aspects of all of this is how early it is yet in Donald Trump's second term. I mean, like, we still got 3 years and what, 9 to 8 months or something like that left to go.
Yeah.
And as I pointed out yesterday on Indisputable, one of the most concerning things about it is it's not just that these people are incompetent, but Donald Trump doesn't care. He doesn't. He doesn't care about any of this, and he's tired. You know, like that man is tired in his bones and in his soul. He is. I mean, like, he has gone his whole life running away from himself, and that's exhausting. And now he's doing it on the world stage still, and it's just like, I don't envy him. That man is an empty husk of rage and insecurity. That is all that exists inside of that man.
Ooh,
rage and
like
insecurity.
That's a nice description. Maybe you should be writing the fantasy novels.
Oh yeah, man. We gonna get into it. We gonna get into it.
Okay, let's do it.